Hey guys, and welcome back to the Trevor May Baseball channel. Today I have a very special video for you. Today we are doing my top baseball moments from Major League Baseball in my lifetime. These are my favorites, moments in baseball history that I remember specifically growing up. I'm 32 years old. I was born in 1989, to give you some context. So I'm going to try to give you a little bit of an idea of where I was in my life and along in my baseball journey when these things happened, and then maybe that'll help you understand why they mean so much to me. Some of my favorite, most fondest moments that I watched every single one of these live. It was a lot of the fuel that gave me my love for baseball and my drive to be, play on those fields myself later in my life. You're gonna see some trends. I grew up in the Northwest. I grew up a Mariners fan, watching the great teams with Edgar Martinez, Jay Buhner, Ken Griffey Jr., Dan Wilson, A-Rod, Ichiro, freaking Edgar. Edgar's my favorite player of all time. Edgar Martinez, Alex Cora, Mike Cameron after that, Jeff Nelson, Aaron Seeley, Bobby Ayala, Norm Charlton, Heathcliff Slocum, freaking Jamie Moyer. Like, these guys are guys that I watched on a day in and day out basis to grow my love for baseball. And so some of these have to do with them, and some of them have to do with their arch nemesis, and some of them have to do with just underdogs and the breaking of curses and all of those things. So without further ado, let's get right into it. The first one happened when I was 6 years old. It was 1995, and the Mariners hit the double in the ALDS. ALDS, yes, it was against the who? New York Yankees. It's Game 5. Edgar Martinez is up. Alex Cora is on third base, and Ken Griffey Jr. is on second. Many of you may have seen this play many times over the years on your favorite sports covering channels, but we're going to have to play a lot of this stuff without audio because I don't want to get DMCA'd, but I also want to show you what happened. But to set the stage, it's 1995. The Mariners this is their first, I believe their first ever playoff appearance. One of the most clutch hitter and now a Hall of Famer, Edgar Martinez, my favorite overall player of all time, non-pitcher that is up to plate. And anyone who knows anything about Edgar, he was a Yankee killer. Mariano Rivera listed him as the hardest pitcher, or one of the most difficult hitters he has ever faced to get out. And he was constantly on him, and he has no idea how to get him out to this day. And of course, Edgar is up with a chance to win the game. The patented Edgar into the corner. Griffey comes around second. He pauses for a second just to make sure it wasn't caught. The ball gets in. You ain't going to catch him. The kid is too fast. The slide. But the most iconic moment of this entire play is this right here. The freeze frame right here. Griffey at the bottom of the pile, smiling like the kid that he is. And the Mariners go on to play the Indians in the ALCS, the farthest they've ever gotten in the playoffs to this day. And though they weren't able to get past the Indians, to beat the Yankees in a playoff series and to move on to farthest was special because, as a lot of people know, in late 90s, early 2000s, the Yankees were truly the evil empire. And they were the best team. They were the best team with the best players, with Jeter and Mo, two of the greatest players of their positions of all time. And to be able to beat them is, you always just were getting up a little bit when you're playing the Yankees, and that's true to this day. But it means something a little bit more in my heart, being a Northwesterner. Now, number 2 on our list, it takes me to, let's fast forward 6 years to when I'm 12 years old. I believe their expansion was fairly close to this, but the Arizona Diamondbacks are taking on the 2-time in a row World Series champions, New York Yankees. Actually, I believe they'd won 3 in a row, and they were going for their 4th in a row. It was one of those two things. They'd won in 98, and I know they won in 2000. I believe they had won 3 in a row. They were going for their 4th World Series. They were in their 4th World Series. The greatest closer of all time, in my opinion. Just barely beating out who I share my namesake with, one of the best players of all time, Trevor Hoffman, for the greatest closer of all time, Luis Gonzalez. Now, Luis Gonzalez, as anyone knows, was a great player for the Diamondbacks for a long time. You'll see Randy Johnson here on the team as well, one of my favorite pitchers of all time. But facing Mo in a big spot is not who you want to face. He's probably the last person on the planet. It's Game 7. It's been an amazing series, and there is a team who is going for their 4th straight World Series, and then there's a team who's never won one. So I tend to lean towards the team that has never won a World Series. just because of that whole underdog mentality. My dad was he was a Mariners fan, but like when he was younger, the Mariners didn't exist. They became a team in the 70s, so he was actually a fan of the other closest team, the Oakland Athletics. The Oakland A's won a World Series in 2000 in 1997. In 1974, when he was a senior in high school as well, but they're notoriously not a big market, not a lot of money, a lot less money than the Giants and the other LA teams, and so to see them win was a big thing for him. So he became an A's fan, and my grandfather was stationed earlier than that in Boston in the Navy for a few years, and he had a soft spot for the Boston Red Sox, and he would always preach that they're cursed, they can't win, and they became the underdog in any sort of playoff series they were in as well. So I developed a little bit of like side fandom for those because I just wanted curses broken, and I want to see teams win that don't necessarily win all the time, and I want to see players step up that aren't necessarily assumed to be the best player, or someone becomes an MVP and gets the job done. Those are my favorite things about being a baseball player and watching baseball. And as a kid, the games that fired me up the most were definitely in that vein. So this takes us here. We have Mariano Rivera versus Luis Gonzalez. Luis got the open stance. There's the big unit himself. Open stance. He's waiting for his pitch. It's cutter up and in. Just gets it enough barrel on it. Drops it in. The infield was in, and it's over. The Diamondbacks win the World Series. They spoil one thing. They spoil the quad Pete, but they also win their first one. And Luis Gonzalez was another guy that I loved to watch and emulate over the years just because of his open stance. Him and Tony Batista. So just again, I'm 12 years old. I'm like, that was the most amazing series I've ever seen, and that is the craziest thing that I had seen on a Major League Baseball field up until that point. Until, of course, we get to our next moment. I know there's a lot of Yankees involved here, and I know people are going to probably be up in arms about this, but again, I grew up a Mariners fan that since that 95 has been kind of thwarted by the Yankees every chance they've gotten to get into the World Series. 0-1 when they were the best team in the nation or in the world in the regular season, and getting beat in the ALDS. By the Yankees, and as being a Twins player, there's a special spot. But at the same time, it's all respect. And, when you're the best and notoriously the best, you want to beat the best. And you want to watch teams kind of rise to that occasion, and you want to see the best baseball you can see. And all the best baseballs in these moments when I was younger, when this team was a dynasty and an absolute powerhouse, was against them. So the big moments, a lot of times that I remember being like, wow, I didn't expect that to happen, happened to be against the New York Yankees. So really interesting. This one, though, is Big Papi doing Big Papi things. The 0-4 ALCS, down 3-0. There's the famous quotes from Kevin Millar: "Don't let us win tonight. Don't let us win tonight." It goes to show you like the whole mindset, like one day at a time is so important in baseball and sports in general. But one day at a time, it's the only way to do it. You can't worry about winning tomorrow if you don't win today, right? So when your backs are truly against the wall, that shows what types of team you are. And but the biggest things for these moments, and I think it's something that's really understated, is these two. The next two moments are from the same series, 0-4. When the Red Sox have an 86, I believe it was an 86-year curse going. They're down 3-0, which also has never happened. So you're going to break two things at once. Trying to come back 3-0 is the hardest thing to do in baseball, in sports in general. Coming back from being one game away from elimination without winning a game in the series and not getting swept, it's so hard not to do and give up and stay locked in. And I think Big Papi put together, that is David Ortiz, put together one of the most impressive series from that point on that I've ever seen in terms of being clutch, getting the job done, and truly believing that you can win the game. But not to be understated here, both of the next two games went into extra innings, and I have to give a shout out to every reliever that pitched for both teams in this series for going out, warming up, knowing that you either need to shut the game down and end the series, or you need to continue to give your team life and do the job. The game's tied. You're going in the 12th inning. Shout out to those relievers that got the job done and kept them in the game, because you would never been in this situation to win the game, or been in this opportunity to win the game, had you not gotten your job done. I always love going back and paying attention to that stuff. But here it is, Big Papi. They try to go in on him, run a two-seam back. It comes back, and it actually is pretty well located, just a little bit too high. Rips it over the 380 sign, and There we go. 3-0 goes to 3-1. Look at that crowd, crazy. You gotta give some love to just the Northeast in general, all those markets. The fans in these markets are incredible, but like you just see how excited everyone is I can put myself there. I can hear how loud it is. I've been in big situations where the Red Sox needed to beat a team that I was on, right, in order to clinch something, and how loud it can be there. And I will also say this for Yankee Stadium, having played in a playoff series there, that place is as loud as it can possibly get. And after pitching, in front of the New York Mets fans in big games, especially with rival games against these guys, against the Phillies at home, and the type of energy and love you guys bring to the game every day, like there's just nothing like it. Whether you are on the visiting team or the home team, you have to, as a professional baseball player, look around and take it all in. And I can only imagine what it felt like to be the one making the play and being the one that hit it, and I know how it feels to give that up. And but at the end of the day, it's an experience that you'll never forget one way or the other. Like it's a defining moment in your life, and it's something that on the day you die, it'll probably pop into your head. So it's magic, and that's what baseball is. Baseball is magic. And that leads us to moment number 4, and that is the next day. Game 5 of the 2004 ALCS. And who do we have up? We got Big Papi once again. Again, we're in the 14th inning. Both relieving corps got them to this point, which is impressive as hell, knowing that, you never want to be the guy. You don't want to be the guy whose fault it is, right? Big Papi comes up. They try the front door sinker again. It gets in a little bit more, and they got a little bit closer to his hands. But, at the end of the day, didn't matter. Actually, that's a front door cutter. They tried to cut him up and in. He dropped it in, Luis Gonzalez style, scored again. And Bernie knows all too well, what that looks like, and that you're not going to get him at home. And I think this is a turning point that is really understated. This is when the fan base, both fan bases and both teams, start to be like, all right, what's going on? One team starts to get a little bit nervous, and the other team starts to truly believe, and that's when you have a series. But I remember watching on TV and be like, no, there's no way this is happening. And if they pull this off, it'll be the greatest comeback in the history of sports. And if they come back and win a World Series, I mean, it'll be the most impressive way to end a curse or a drought that has lasted as long as that one has. And I just, as a 14-year-old kid, very much baseball is starting to take over my life. It was just so much fun as a baseball fan to watch, even though that neither one of my, the Mariners weren't in it. So it wasn't my team, but I was used to that at that point. And I just was watching baseball as a baseball fan. The final 2 moments that I think have helped me grow my love for baseball and really given me the motivation to be a major leaguer and to, accomplish my dreams of being on a major league field. But the next one was after I was drafted. I'm 18 years old. Actually, I'm just turned 19. I'm in my first ever instructional league. A lot of you that don't know what instructional league is, you guys in the lower minors a lot of times, and they don't do it as much now, especially with COVID and stuff. But instructional league is when you go down to Florida for 6. It was 6 weeks at this time, man. It was, I played my season out for 6 weeks. I went home for a week, went back up to the Northwest, came back down for 6 more weeks to play, to continue to play basically spring training. And continue to work on being a baseball player and expanding yourself, expanding your repertoire and building yourself up, because I just came from high school, right? I had thrown 60 innings, so we were trying to get me stretched out, all those kind of things. But my first one, and that year, 2008, the Philadelphia Phillies won the World Series, and I remember watching this live and knowing wow, I wear that jersey. And it was one of the coolest moments ever. And I mean, honestly, now that I am a reliever, I respect the hell out of Brad Lidge and everything he was able to accomplish with his 2 perfect. I believe he had 2 perfect seasons. I don't know if he had more than that, but he was the best closer on the planet for a couple years there. And this just goes to show you. And this was after the moment with Pujols in Houston, and this is the bounce back of all bounce backs to go 48 for 48 and win a World Series and get the job done in the way that he got the job done. And here it is, last pitch. And I wish so bad that I could play it with audio in order to give you guys the real feeling, but I'm going to voice over it a little bit because Harry Callis crushed it with the call, how excited he was. This This celebration Brad Lidge did is probably something that if I ever get the opportunity to close a World Series out, I'm going to mimic or at least do something similar. I'm going on the ground 100%. Just whatever you do not pay attention to the fact that he has the tongue of his cleat with his pants tucked in. Don't let that diminish what he did on the mound. What'd he throw? The old banger slider, got it straight to the ground. That is 100% what I'm doing. And it just, I don't know. This is the first thing or the last moment that you see your first year as a Major League Baseball, or as a professional baseball player, it gets you to believe like that is, I want that. And it's possible, and I'm part of that organization that got it. And it was just a really cool, after being drafted, watching a World Series happen. You know, I understand it's a Mets, a Mets rival winning the World Series, but at the time, watching it as a baseball fan, it really got you. It was motivating, and it got you to believe that that it was entirely possible for you to also be that guy going to his knees and celebrating at the end. And then finally, I know there was 5, and there's supposed to be 5, but I'm going to go with 6. This is the defining moment, I think, one of my greatest moments in the history of my career. This is the moment I truly believed I accomplished a milestone, a major milestone in my life. And that is the first major league pitch I threw. It was to Coco Crisp, first pitch of my career. Though the rest of the outing didn't go as planned, as you can see by my stat line. 2 innings, 7 walks, no strikeouts, 4 runs, 3 hits. We lost the game 9-4, and I only threw 2 innings, and my bullpen had to pick me up for 7. Also, being a bullpen guy, I know how that is. I'm so sorry, you guys. Fiend and Perkins and Burton and all you guys down there, and Swarzak and Dunsing. My bad, dude. All love. I wish I could have done better for you. But this is one of the best moments of my life, baseball or non-baseball. I remember stepping off the mound, looking around, throwing the ball up, and just being like, I'm in the major leagues. And it was in the Oakland Coliseum, so that place it's probably the biggest. It feels like you are in the actual Coliseum and you're fighting Gladiator. Like, that's what it's just gigantic. There's just so much foul territory. There's so many people. It's so quirky, and they're always chanting stuff, and none of them knew who I was. It was against Jeff Samardzija. Even though the results weren't there, it was a really, really happy day in my life, and I'm super proud that I was able to share it with the Minnesota Twins, but also share it with a lot of my family that were there as well. Even my nephew, who is now 7, he doesn't remember because he was, 4 months old, but he was able to get out to just a really special moment that I could share with my family, and has kind of helped me define who I am now. And lo and behold, first pitch of the game. A lot of people don't know about my wind-up starter, Trevor, but here it goes. First pitch of the game, deep breath, generic cleats on, fastball away, popped up foul territory, T. Plouffe catches the ball. First pitch I threw, 1 pitch, 1 out. Coco smirking to himself a little bit because he's like, dang, I tried to get the rookie first pitch he ever threw, and I popped it up. He tried to get me. And then I since have learned that Coco is a dead red heater fastball. He swings at the first pitch a lot. I believe this is Sam Fold. I go fastball away. We can watch the second pitch. Oh, 2 pitches, 2 strikes. Unfortunately, I then threw about 65 pitches and about 20 strikes for the rest of the game. Making my debut meant so much to me. It was so much fun. And just growing up, man, watching the underdogs come back and beat some of the best teams in the world, from a 3-0 comeback in 2004. I'd still go back and watch those clips just because they kind of rise goosebumps, but I watched them live and I remember being like, what just happened? And I think that as anyone who truly loves baseball as a game, if you find yourself saying, what just happened, those are the best moments that exist. And the reason that we play the game is to have those moments as much as possible. All the way back from the Mariners and the kid, just pure joy on his face. And I saw that as a 6-year-old, and I was like, that's happiness. That's like getting a new toy for Christmas right there. That is what it's meant, what we're meant to do, and what we're meant to feel. And being a player now for so long, it's just even more in my heart. And then Louis Gonzalez winning it for the first time, taking down the champs, and the huge 3-0 comebacks, and seeing my first World Series, being part of a professional organization that wins the World Series. There's no stronger fire that can be lit behind you in order to get you to be better. So I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be a Major League Baseball player competing my butt off every single day if it weren't for these great moments in baseball history. If you like the video, make sure you give it a little thumbs up. If you like me to do like a team video or something like that's based on greatest Mariners moments, I know there's gonna be lots of Mets moments, and it's gonna take me a really, really great opportunity, or a lot of research to do one of those. Maybe I can react to those great moments, because not growing up a Mets fan, I mean, that's not my fault. I'm sorry, but I would love to do things like that. Anything else you want to see in the future, in a future video, let me know in the comments below. Give the thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe so you never miss anything. And I will see you next time on the Trevor May Baseball channel. See ya.